Hi everyone. I have been getting some requests for people who wanted to discuss um, things like communicating with ancestors and what it's like to receive guidance and um, things like that from our passed on relatives. But I usually, when I'm discussing ancestors, for those who know me, I usually speak about my African ancestors, but I did want to share this experience that I had with you all when I was surprised by a visit or a vision from my white ancestors. What's that like as a black person? And what that feels like? Um, So I usually do talk about my African and Native Indigenous ancestors, but I do have some European or Caucasian ancestry, and that comes from Ireland. And interestingly enough, I sort of hold this belief that not only are we our ancestors, but there's a possibility that we may have been incarnated as our ancestors in the past, really coming back. I don't believe that about every incarnation or lifetime, but I believe that sometimes there are just things that are deep in your soul that resonate with certain aspects of your ancestors that you may not explain until possibly having a DNA test done and things like that. Like, for instance, I've always been, some of you know, I have studied different spiritual beliefs. Besides adhering to African pagan spirituality, I also was a Wiccan priestess at some point, and I still consider myself to be really. I don't really, I'm not in a box, so I just take what resonates with my spirit and then I apply it to my life. So I had always been drawn to Celtic music. I used to make my own homemade runes with stones that I would find. If you don't know what runes are, they're basically an ancient Celtic divination system. Symbols are carved into stones or rocks, and when those stones are thrown, they deliver a message. So I used to do that, and sometimes going to the medieval fairs, for some reason there was always some sort of Celtic live music, and I was just always drawn to it. I was just, it's like my spirit was called to it. And I've always enjoyed movies and television shows that also somehow have to do with those people. So I really believe that that is in us. So I want to share what happened to me. This was a while back, and I'm just now getting to this video. The past winter solstice, I did a fireside ritual, and I was in a altered state when I received visions from my Celtic ancestors. And what I saw was really surprising because I saw a line of people, just a long line of people, and they were all in various states of dress, meaning some of them were dressed from different time periods. I saw some of them in clothing that would be considered probably prehistoric, furs and bones and things of that nature. I saw Dark Ages, what I perceive were the Dark Ages type of individuals with the way they were dressed and how they presented themselves. I saw all the way up into almost, I just have to say, my Irish ancestry probably goes back, let me see how many generations that is. I would say late 18th century to early 1900s. That's when the Irish was placed in became a part of my DNA. I don't know how that happened. I've done lots of genealogy research as well as having my DNA done. So honestly, the only white I had in me was Irish. So in that, it goes back to, I believe, my great grandparent that was a full-blooded Irish person. I don't know if that was a male or female, but anyhow, so this line of people were just up from ancient times all the way up until, I would say, that time. and they had a message for me, and the message was that they walked with me, and that the old ways, the pagan ways, the old Celtic witches, they were all with me. And the message I received was very beautiful. They said that they were with me and that they carried power on through me, because the power is in the bloodline, and that I needed to keep doing what I was doing because I was on the right track, and they just wanted me to know that they were a part of me still. And that was very interesting and touching, actually. So I did get that confirmation that the things that I felt inside of me were truly a part of me. And also the message is that no ancestor is unimportant to you, because every ancestor creates who you are as a person, not only genetically, but spiritually speaking. It's just in you. So the message was that they were in this land before this land had a name. I was like, okay, that's interesting. So, and that message came from the very ancient looking people who honestly looked sort of primitive to me, but they wanted me to know that they came from the land before the land had a name. So this really prompts me to do more research on ancient Celtic people, because I do find that interesting. So know that every ancestor is a part of you. Every ancestor should be considered for guidance, for love, for support, and they're a part of you. So I just wanted to relay that message, and also know that if you are the majority of one type of culture, or one type of ethnicity, doesn't mean that you should count out the ancestors that have a smaller percentage of who you are, because they are still there, and they are still there for you in the spirit realm and here. And that's what I wanted to relate to you. Anybody have any interesting experiences like that? Let me know. Solstices are very powerful times to receive messages from the ancestors, and so is October 31st, Samhain, which we know is coming up. The veil between the worlds grows thinner, so dreams, visions, messages from the spirit realm are becoming more and more clear. So just be very, very discerning into who you communicate with and how you do that. I do not recommend Ouija boards. I really, really think that's like leaving your front door open with a mental asylum across the street for anyone to come in. I always warn people, do not use that. It is not a game, even though it's advertised as so. You can open up doorways and portals to things and places that should be left alone. You will fuck around and have something attached to you for life you can't get rid of. So please don't use a Ouija board. I recommend meditation. I recommend drumming and dancing for altered states to open up your subconscious or your higher self or your third eye to communicating with your higher evolved ancestors. There are many ways, but don't do the Ouija. Please don't. That's it for me. Just a quick little video this morning to share my experience with you.